Let's go on. Okay, so we finished with your Egyptian mother-in-law. Okay, you told that
Yeah.
she was very good to you, but really, you can confirm it again, like there was no single problem with her.
To my face and to everything that was going on, she never ever had a problem for me. She was extremely accommodating whenever I'd go and visit, because I'd always stay in their house. She would always make sure that she was cooking the food that I liked. Like, I don't particularly like fish, so she'd always know on a day of samak that I would have like chicken penne or burgers or something. She'd always make sure that she'd always accommodate for me in the house, because he was part of quite a large family, so they were always cooking for like 10 to 15 people every day.
Oh my god.
So yeah, like with the kids and stuff, the kids would always come over after school and things like that. And there was also quite a few people that would come and visit and just take food. They'd have certain days that certain people would come round and just take food. So yeah, she was always cooking in the house, always.
Wait a second, Jade. It sounds a little bit strange to me, okay? Because I know Alexandra very well. So I will ask you, from which area they were. Do you remember?
Yeah, they were from Bahari, Manshaya.
Bahrain. Oh, that's make it pretty clear. So let's say there was like, I don't want to insult anyone, but kind of, let's say, poor family.
They didn't appear that to me. But now I've seen the different classes. I wouldn't say they were poor. I would say they were nearly at the middle class. But I don't know if,
because I can tell you in Manchia, like everything is much cheaper than here in the middle of Alexandria, you know?
Yeah.
That's why I asking about this. Even the way how you told how they invite people out for lunch, it's not common in Alexandria actually. Only people from lower level, they do it. It's nice, I like it, okay? Just don't misunderstand me. But like I just
No. I was really shocked, because I was like, I don't understand why these people come. And then my ex-husband said, no, there's specific days that they come.
Yeah, probably they was like, helping other poor people. It's actually nice.
No, that's what they said. That's what they said. They said these people don't have places to eat, so they know different houses to go to. So on a Thursday they come to us. So I was like, oh, okay. But I thought it was really, really nice. Really nice.
Yeah, I agree. It's really nice.
And to be honest, like I used to get a lot of the hotel that I used to work in, the general manager always used to say to me, you do not deserve to go to a place in Alexandria like this. I am from Maadi. You should go to a place like Maadi or Zamalek in Cairo. You shouldn't go to a place like this. And I just said to him, I said, do you know what? I can go to Maadi and I can go to Zamalek and I could be like I am in England.
Yes, I said, I used to listen to this word a lot also. So no worry, it's okay.
Yeah, and then I was like, do you know what? I much prefer to go to a place like that to properly see the culture and actually experience what true life is like here.
Yes,
I felt that I really, really experienced it living there. I saw how people lived, and I was like really in the back streets, like really seeing how true life is. And I think it's actually made me a lot more humble as a person to actually truly face how other people live in this world.
I agree. I did the same and I don't regret it. I'm really so proud for the experience.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. And I would recommend anyone else to do that as well, because I learned so much.
Yeah, but there's a different mentality between us, like let's say European and Egyptian, because Egyptian will never do so. I know it very well. If they are very rich, so they will never do the same as we do. But it's about the mentality.
Yeah, definitely.
We are more open-minded, and so we are better actually than this people.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, then I would like to ask you a personal question, really personal. In your marriage, why did you have any babies?
I didn't know.
Can I ask the reason if you don't mind? Why?
Because he wasn't responsible enough.
So you
He
actually
wasn't.
meant it that you don't want to have a baby, or you did have some problem that you couldn't have a baby?
No, I didn't. I kept saying to him, because it was something that he wanted, and I said, okay, show up and be responsible. Because the thing is, in the UK, we have our system with the government that if there is a problem, like you get maternity pay, or the government gives you certain money, like called benefits. So you have a support system if you're not working. Obviously, here in Egypt, we know that there is no support system. There is nothing. If you are officially working as a foreigner, you will only get maternity pay for 3 months, and then you have to go back to work. I didn't want that. I wanted to dedicate my life to my children. So I said to him, you need to make me feel financially comfortable to be able to do something like that.
So
Whereas
he
with
didn't.
him,
He didn't pay all the expensive. He didn't make you feel comfortable. Even he didn't want you to work.
I was working. He had no problem with me working. That was fine. But the fact is if he had, like, as example, I'll tell you a classic example of him. Okay. He went through a phase of saving lots of money. So I said, okay, that's great. Keep saving. He made about 50,000 Egyptian in 3 months. I said, that's amazing. Like, you're doing really well. And then a week later, he came home with a car. And I went, you've already got a motorbike. Why do you need a car? I just fancied it. I was like, we're going through a certain phase of our life now. We don't need a car. I go everywhere on local transport. My hotel that I was working at was a 20-minute walk. I didn't have a problem to walk. I never wanted this car, but he went ahead and bought a car without even telling me because he knew that I'd say no.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how can I go ahead and have a child with you if you can't even show me that you can save money in the bank?
Okay, that's a great point. You told 50,000 in 3 months, right?
Yeah.
And tell me, because it's not usual to have such a salary in Egypt, right? Especially for Egyptians. So he took this money from the hotel working, or he did the money somehow, let's say not good work, some black work, how to get the money?
No, when you're working in the entertainment industry, you get a basic salary every month. And then you can get there's many different things that you can sell to gain commission.
Okay.
So it was through, as example, you can sell mini disco CDs, as example. You can sell bingo tickets to the guests. But the most commission that you can get is when you take them to nightclubs.
Yeah, of course. And have fun with them.
Especially with the Ukrainian, there is so many Ukrainians here and they love to go to nightclubs. So with that, he was gaining a lot of commission through that. And the thing was, in his job, he was very good at his job. I will not put him down for that. He was, even the people, the companies that he were working for, they specifically need him for the revenue, you know. Like, he generated a lot of cash flow within the business for the person that he was working for. So he was very good at that. He knew that he could gain certain amounts of money at certain times, but he'd gain it and then spend it. He'd never be able to sit on it for a while.
Not responsible.
Yeah, and that for me, I didn't feel comfortable around it. And especially because how it is, and this is the other weird thing that us as foreigners aren't aware of, is the expectations of Egyptians with their wives in a way of financial support and how the money and the dynamics should work. Because at the end of the day, if I was an Egyptian, the whole financial setup would be completely different than now I'm a foreigner.
Yes, of course.
And I think that so many, in regards to, it's not the fact that I need to be married to a husband that's paying for everything. No, because I will happily pay my way. But it is expected here for the man to be providing everything and to be the source of stability. And that was not happening at all with me.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, so he was actually wise in my point that you didn't want to have a baby with him, but in the same time, didn't he make you problem because of it?
Yeah.
He did. Okay, good to know.
Yeah. It wasn't easy at all. And he actually used to think that people were getting in my mind. So he'd try and manipulate me in my way of thinking as well. But it was something that, and as well, not being funny, we was always arguing. So when we was always arguing, I thought because I actually had depression before when I was a child. So I didn't know if I was to have a baby, if I'd get depression again. I didn't know. So emotionally, I needed him to be there. If we'd had an argument again and then he decided to go off and not talk to me for 2 weeks, I can't deal with that while I've got a child.
Yeah, of course. Oh my God.
There were so many things that was entering my head, and I just thought, no. And as well, so many women don't listen to it, but you have an inner knowing in yourself. You have your own gut feeling. And every time that subject was brought up, I would feel tight and I wouldn't feel right. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, of course.
So there was no way that I could go forward in something like that without feeling completely safe and comfortable. And then when I actually left him, I left him in 2018 in the August, and my brother actually had a little girl himself in 2019. So I went back to the UK, and I was in the UK for 2 weeks, and she was only a month old. And I actually watched how it was dealing with a newborn baby. And I actually thought to myself, I'm so thankful that I never put myself through that, because there is no way on earth that I would have got the support that I needed.
I agree. Okay. But later now, when you see, don't you regret it, for example, that you don't have the baby? I speak only about the baby.
I don't regret it, no, because I believe that everything happens for a reason.
Perfect. Okay, I agree with you.
And I also believe that if I did have a child, my life going forward, I would have been trapped in Egypt. Because as we know, Egyptians can stop their children from leaving this country. And I know if there was, he always promised me that he would allow the child to go beforehand. But in myself and with how I've seen him now, I know that if I had a child, I would be stuck here in Egypt because he wouldn't allow that child to leave.
No, it's not that clear, Jade. If you, for example, if you made the passport from UK for your baby when he's born, so then you don't need any confirmation from the husband. You can leave with the child anytime you want. But just the baby must have the passport of the other country, of course.
No, but I, with all the dealings here in Egypt, I still wouldn't even trust that. Do you know that?
Yeah, of course. But just like, it's not impossible. If the baby has different passports, so it's kind of okay.
Yeah, I would just feel in myself that with money you can pay for anything. Do you know what I mean? Here in Egypt,
yeah, especially in Egypt, yes.
stuff like that. It would scare me like crazy. So I thought, I'm not even going to put myself in an awkward position, you know, at all. I can't. And I can't do that to my child's life, you know. I just couldn't. There was too many things going on in my head.
You are very wise. I agree. It was right.
But a lot of people say to me, like, now you're 29, you've got to start all over again. And I'm like, that was another reason why I didn't want to leave, because I thought I was a failure. I thought that I'm 29, I'm not married, I don't have my house, I don't have my children. And then I've kind of came to the realization that everything does happen for a reason. And if I didn't go through all what I went through, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. You know, I wouldn't be helping other women. I wouldn't be speaking to you. And I wouldn't be the person that I am. If you would have seen me 2 years ago, I was actually 30 kilos heavier than what I am now, because I couldn't deal with what was going on. So I was just turning to food.
Mm.
You
Jade,
know, I've changed so much since I've left that relationship.
of course. Okay, now it's maybe the time, Jade, if you can tell us about the work which you are doing right now. How are you helping the women and how they can contact you possibly?
Yeah, of course. Through everything that I've been through, basically, I've gone back into studying, and I actually wanted to know why. I need to know why. Why did all this happen to me? And I just kept asking myself, and I've gone down so many rabbit holes of actually doing a lot of deeper work on myself and healing myself to not put myself back in a place like that. So through everything that I've been through, I've actually gone down the route of being a relationship mentor and life coach for women specifically who have gone through the same type of marriage that I have been through, and having someone to talk about it and guide them through the process of healing through it to be able to move on with their lives. Because I actually co-admin a very good support group on Facebook, and there is so many women that struggle in silence, number one. Number two, there's so many women, Egyptians specifically, and Arabs. They're a particular type of make of person, and they can't easily be understood for Western people. So if I'm in the UK and I speak about an Egyptian, a person in the UK is not going to understand their way of thinking at all, whereas I do. There's specific things that only Egyptians do or only Arabs do. So I just wanted to get my story out there to know that women are not alone. They're not. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and I can show you where this light is. And just knowing that what they've been through is not their fault, and actually understand what's gone on, why is it gone on, and how that they can heal themselves and work on themselves to not attract someone like that back into their life again. Because the thing is, in types of relationships like this, you actually spiral from relationship to relationship to relationship, and the same type of treatment happens, it just happens in another person. So you have to do the work on yourself to be able to stop that rolling effect, the domino effect, and actually be alone and work on yourself. And being alone is a bloody scary thing, but I'll tell you now, you will grow into something that you will not even recognize. Because in order to be alone, when you're alone, that's all you need. You only need you in your life. And once you realize that, your whole world will change. You don't need a man to love you. You don't need a house or the Instagram image of a family to prove who you are. You can do all of that yourself. And it's all about self-love, self-awareness, self-trust, and self-worth and self-love. It's just all about that. And because we're never taught about it from being children, it's something that we really need to work on. And in my work, I do a healing modality known as inner child healing. And I really go back to your childhood, because I believe we as adults are programmed from when we are children. So what happens when we are children actually makes our belief system, and our belief system is what attracts everything into our life. So that's what I do. I go back into that in the programs that I offer. And when I go into that, I make, instead of having beliefs that limit us and put us in a small corner, I make them a lot bigger. And it's through that process that you're able to empower yourself and get the confidence to rebuild your life and go forward in a completely new direction.
I agree with you. Absolutely. Yes. Everything starts in childhood, especially.
Yeah, it's huge. And I never, inner child is not really done. I had counselling before when I was in the UK, and that was never included. I don't know a lot of therapists really that include it. It's more coaches and healers that provide it. And I honestly think that this type of healing really needs to be out there, because it really does have a lot of answers for a lot of questions that people have.
Yes. So, okay, Jade, if, for example, if I want to contact you with my problem, okay, as a woman in Egypt, how
Yeah.
can I contact you? And if you can tell me also the price of your help.
Oh, of course. I'm on Instagram. At Jade Louise Tibbles is my handle. I'm also on Facebook. You can look me up, Jade Louise Tibbles Relationship Mentor. I am there.
Okay.
My prices themselves will depend on where you're located. So obviously, I'm not the prices here in Egypt. Obviously, with the way the how can I say it, the economy is here, will be a different price to compared to what's abroad. So here in Egypt, I start again, it depends on what your situation is. If it's something that you want to target at and you want to do a specific situation and you just would like an hour session, that starts at 1,000 Egyptian.
Okay.
Here in Egypt. If, as example, you want to do the full 3-month program, the full 3-month program that I offer does include my whole transformational process. So there's a lot involved in it, including myself. There's a full self-care routine, so how to look after yourself, life direction, guidance. So from a soul-based perspective, where are you going forward? And once you have that, I'm able to do the deeper work within what's going on for you, because you already know where you're heading. I also give full relationship advice going forward. So what is it exactly that you desire in a man? How do you get that? How do you see the red flags? How do you empower yourself through to know what actually is a healthy man compared to someone that is abusive and known as a narcissist, basically, because this is what these men are. They're known as narcissists. So to be able to go all through that, plus the self-discovery, which is through the inner child, all of that for the 3 months. At the moment, doing this podcast is 15,000 for the 3 months.
15 adult, right? Okay. So I will put in the comment on the YouTube, which I will upload it. I will put your link on Facebook and Instagram, okay? That then people can contact you if they need.
That
Is
would
it
be
okay with
amazing.
you?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's okay. Fine. Let's go back now to your story to Egypt. Okay. I would like to know right now. Did you found another love in Egypt or not? Or you finished with the love with Egyptian men?
I'm loving myself.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
I believe that if you truly love yourself, that the person that's supposed to be in your life will come to you. So, and you know what? I put my heart and soul into a marriage that didn't work for so long, and I sacrificed a lot. So do you know what? Now I'm actually enjoying my life for what it is. And in the last 3 years, I've done so much more than in the 8 years that I've lived here, if you can imagine.
Yeah, of course I can. Why not? It sounds pretty
So
amazing.
so yeah, if someone pops into my life, they pop into my life. If they don't, I'm just going to enjoy my life anyway.
Yeah, of course. But I want to know, like, if it was, for example, another Egyptian man, you will go for it if you feel comfortable, or you finish with
Yeah,
Egyptian man.
definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
No, definitely, because I like I said, if he's supposed to be in life, he will find his way to me. I trust that. If it's Egyptian, I would not have a problem, because I love Egyptian people. Just because I've had one bad experience doesn't mean that they're all like this. If
Exact.
anything,
Yeah.
I've learned so much. I've worked before I was doing my coaching and mentoring. I was working in hotels as customer service and quality management. So I've worked in 4 or 5 different hotels here. I've engaged with so many different people that I know that my experience was not a representation of Egyptians. Egyptians are amazing in-depth people, amazing. So if another Egyptian comes into my life, it's not a problem.
Okay. Amazing. I agree with you. Not all people are the same. Like in any country, we are good people and bad people. It's simply anywhere in the world.
Definitely.
Okay. So, and now, can you tell us some, like, the happiest moment for you in Egypt? Do you have some memory like this?
Do I have what? Sorry.
Your happiest memory ever in Egypt? What happened to it?
I have too many.
Fun.
I think my happiest memories here in Egypt are traveling. I love traveling around this country, and I never think that I can fall in love with this country anymore. And then I visit a new place.
Okay, traveling,
So,
you mean towards the, let's say, ancient Egypt, like history about Egypt, or traveling itself? Doesn't matter where.
doesn't matter where, because I've visited about 8 cities here. I've done quite a few. And the biggest one that I thoroughly enjoyed was Luxor. Absolutely adored Luxor.
Yeah, I agree.
But then I absolutely adore Dahab. Like, I went to Dahab again this year, and I love the feel that city, that little village is like. It's so different. I think each city has something unique about it. So I can't even tell you that I have a favorite type of place to go. Like, Luxor is so ancient and so in the old ancient times as a way of living. It's completely different. Dahab is so hippie and vibey and so laid back. I love Marsa Matruh as well, because I love the color of the sea and I love the feel of that city. Been there a few times. I love Alexandria, because Alexandria actually reminds me of a childhood place that I used to go on holiday in the UK as well. So I love that. But then I love Cairo because it's so busy. Like, you get the hustle and bustle like being in London, you know?
I
and
hate
it's just
Cairo,
like,
so I can't.
Yeah. But the thing is, when I go there for like a week, it's fine. If I was to live there, I'd probably feel completely different. But yeah, and then I wasn't actually that keen on Hurghada, not gonna lie. Didn't really like Hurghada that much. But then Sharm is just, there's so many places in Sharm that's just like, oh my God, wow. You know, I can't put my finger on it. So that's why the most happiest I've been here is when I'm traveling. Has to be.
Yeah, I agree. Have you visited the Sahara?
No. I have a list. I have a new list that I need to do, because I really, really want to do Siwa.
Yes, I was exactly in Siwa. That's why I'm speaking about it. This was, for me, the best place which I have ever seen in Egypt.
Really?
When I see it, I wanted to move there immediately and never go back to Alexandria. I swear to God.
Yeah.
The Sahara Sea is so magical, really. And the night, you know, in the night when you see the moon and stars, I have never seen so many stars in my life than on this.
Wow.
Like, it's shining, the moon is shining, you see the way everywhere. It's so amazing feeling, like in fairy tale, you know? It was really amazing.
Wow.
You have to go there.
Oh, I'd
You'll
love
go there together.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, really,
Let's
that's
go.
the next
Yeah.
one on my list.
Okay, let's go on. I will be happy to go there again. Fine. Okay, now let's move from good experience to the worst experience.
Oh God.
Yeah, think well.
My worst experience that I've ever had is, again, I was actually going through this process while I was during my divorce period as well. I was working for a quality department in quite a large, well-known hotel here in Sharm. I won't say the name, but I was actually sexually harassed by one of the staff members while I was doing a room inspection. And I was actually cornered in the corner of the room, and he approached me and he started to touch me and asked to kiss me. And I was extremely scared. And what actually happened was, I was actually checking the room and I was telling him the problems, and it was the only way that I can actually describe it was like the devil went in him and I saw it. Because then he looked at me in a completely different way, and then he started. And then I said to him, what the hell are you doing? You're getting married in 3 weeks. What are you doing? And then it was like the devil came out of him, and then he went, Jade, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. And then he sat on the bed and I ran out. And when I ran out, I actually I didn't actually want to report it because he was getting married in 3 weeks. And I just thought, if I report it, he's going to lose his job. He's going to lose everything. And I didn't want that. But then in the same respect, I then thought he could be doing that to other women, and other women aren't saying anything. And it could actually cause a huge problem for the hotel. So I actually reported it. And when I reported it, there was an investigation that went on. But basically, when the investigation went on, the guy actually said that I was quite upfront with him. I was flirting with him, which I wasn't. How I treat everyone is exactly the same. And I know, because I've lived here for so long, I know how to interact with certain people. I know how certain people can take things, but because of their mentality, I know that certain Egyptians can take things in a sexually orientated way and other Egyptians can take it normally. So I'm quite well aware of who I can speak to and at what level, if that makes sense. With him, I never went there, never. The only one question, and then he said, I know that she's going through a divorce and this is why she's doing this. She started this, not me. So then my manager said to me, did you tell him that you was divorced? And I said to her, he looked at my finger and saw my wedding ring wasn't on my finger. And he said to me, halas, husband, halas. Like, this was his English. This is what I want you to understand. He actually said, halas, husband, halas, meaning, have you finished with your husband? So I just said, aywa, meaning yes. That's all I said. So because of that, he thought in his mind that was an invitation for him to go to that level.
To sleep with him, yes. That's the amazing invitation to the bed.
And do you know what? The management actually said, because you spoke about personal information, you are also to blame as well. Yeah. So I actually had to resign.
Stupid Egyptian rules and this. Yeah.
And I actually said to the manager, I said to him, I said, I was cornered, in a room. I could have been raped in that room and no one would have known. He could have closed that door and he could have raped me. That was never put into the management's mind. Never. It was just that you're as bad as him. So that's it. Both of you have to resign. And that was at the one point that I can honestly say that I felt my weakest here, because no one listened to me.
I absolutely understand you, because today, actually, one woman from my country wrote me on my Instagram, actually with a very similar story as you. And she told me it's happening so many women here and no one listened to them.
Yep.
So really, be aware of it. It's really too bad in this point. In these touristic places with the sexuality, it's too bad, really.
No, it is. It's terrible. It's happened to me. I've been sexually harassed about 3 times while I've been out in public. But the worst one, like I say, was when I was in a hotel and I thought, hang on a minute, you as management. I'm not saying that, because the management were just saying, well, it's your word against his. And the thing was, another staff member, it happened to her as well. And not that extent, but something else happened with her. But they still never took it into consideration. And because other management had made comments about the way that I act with certain members of staff, they thought it was very flirtatious in their opinion. So they thought that I was to blame.
Yeah, I believe as long as you are not in the cap as me, you will be flirting with them. They will take it like this. Because I just thought, speaking.
Yeah, I just thought, do you know what? I respect myself. Yet people, because again, I always feel sometimes that people try to make you look bad, especially here with what's going on in Sharm at the moment. Everyone's worried about their jobs. So it's like they try and find to make a way for you to look bad, to make them look better, to keep their job.
Yes, of course.
And it's like, it doesn't work like that. Like, there's so many games that go on. It's ridiculous. And that was at the point that I was like, do you know what? I just felt so upset that I wasn't being heard and that someone was blaming me for something that wasn't my fault. And it's so bad, especially here in Egypt. It really annoys me that Just because I'm wearing a certain thing, a man thinks it's okay to touch me.
Yeah, I understand. I'm sorry for it, really. It sounds really bad.
No, because again, I've learned from it. Do you know what I mean? All these
Of
things,
course.
like so many bad things can happen, but as long as you learn from it, that's the main thing. So I have.
Okay, Jade, do you have last advice for our women? What you will advise them if they are in Egypt?
Oh, last advice. Oh. My advice is to take things slow, number one. Number two, always listen to your gut feeling in yourself. It's there for a reason, and it's telling you something for a reason. Always follow it. Number three, I'd always make sure that you have what's the word? A community away from your husband. So as example, if you're here in Sharm, speak to the community within Sharm, get to know the other foreigners, get to be on advice groups so you can have your own perception and knowledge of the country away from your husband. Because your husband's perception can be one thing and your perception of something can be completely different. Understand the country from your perspective of your experience, not from his.
Yeah, definitely.
And as well, he will, when he advises you, he'll put you in a certain direction, which is where he wants you to be for him to be comfortable. Whereas if you are seeking advice outside, you can have your own information. So as example, a very, very simple thing, a man could say when you're in a relationship, oh, I want to get married, but you have to be Muslim in order for me to marry you. You could believe that and go ahead and convert to Islam. Whereas actually, when you actually look into it, as long as you're a woman of faith, he can marry you. But it's only when you actually do your research that you actually know that. If you take this man's word as the truth, you could actually head into something that could be a lot worse going forward.
Yeah,
but not in a religious way, but in a manipulated way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Simply, you have to always put your mind and your information by yourself, not by your husband, not by men.
Yeah, and understand the way of life here in Egypt. What is an Egyptian man
it will take
expected
time
to do? Yeah,
sure.
But gain as much knowledge as you can. That's my other advice.
Okay, thank you, Jade, so much for an amazing story and that you shared it with us. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for having me. And I'm so glad that we've come into contact through sharing our stories. We've met each other and we can help women collectively together. So I'm really, really happy that we've got in contact. And thank you for having me.